Hi, happy Friday and welcome to today's event, the Bloc Party with us at Writers Bloc. I'm Emma from Writing on the Wall, I'm the programme manager, and today we've got Patrice Lawrence's final event with us as part of her residency here at Writing on the Wall. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know about the Writers Bloc and kind of what it is that we do here. It's an online writing centre. I think it's one of the first of its kind in the Northwest at the moment, and it was set up in the summer to support our communities during the pandemic. Since then, we've had numerous amounts of wonderful writers in residence, including Cash Carraway, Loki, Yvonne Battle-Felton and Anthony Anaxagorou, and many others. And all of their videos are available to watch on our YouTube channel, which you can go and have a look at now. We'll put a little link in the comment section so that you've got that as well. But to today's event, I absolutely love the Bloc parties. I was involved in an open house last night where some of our writers have been sharing the work they've been developing with Patrice. And so I'm more than excited to hear their work and share that with you today. Can we give a warm virtual wow round of applause for Patrice Lawrence, our writer in residence at the moment. Let's bring her onto screen. Hi Patrice.
Hello.
How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm in rude health, thank you. And yourself?
It's absolutely freezing, isn't it? I'm like, oh. Joe, I've got a dog and I'm like, nope. We can go for 15 minutes max. That's it. It's too cold. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And although I'm sad that this is your last day with us, it's been quite some residency. And we're going to talk about that in a little while. But I think to kick us off, we're going to hear writing from some of our participants, but also we're going to hear some work from yourself. So if you want to start with that maybe, and then we'll have a little chat afterwards.
Right, this is something new that I sort of started in the last couple of weeks, and I hope might be a short story at some point, and I'll sort of explain a bit more about it afterwards. So I'm just going to set my timer so I don't go for an eternity, which I am so easily can do. So it's called, at the moment, 4:38 a.m. bingo. 4:38 a.m. Wednesday, third column, top row, dude in yellow high-vis chatting shit, tick. Two dudes in real life, because one's chatting shit to the other, not to himself. I've seen that too, of course, so it's often not worth making a square for it. I'm going to be honest, I see these two dudes nearly every morning, apart from Tuesdays. That must be their day off. The white dude must be around 50, or maybe he's just younger and seen things. He sounds Turkish, or Italian, or Algerian. It's 4:38 in the morning. Man's birthplace accent shouldn't even be in my head. I should be sausaged up in my duvet with at least 5 more hours ticking by before I open my eyes. But here I am, early Buster Dalston, listening to him complain that his wife won't let him eat sugar, but he still manages to smuggle a 2-finger Kit Kat into work every day. I just hope he doesn't expect his wife to mop down the kitchen after his pancreas bursts. Dude number 2 is light skin, maybe mixed race with long locks. I don't know if it's proper rest locks or pick-up gal locks. He keeps them sleek though. No puff-up frizz across the top of his forehead or stray hair sticking out from his hand-rolled dreads of perfection. Man must massage his head with a whole jar of Cantu Stay Gel before taking one step out his door. The brother's giving back diet advice. Buckwheat, my friend, it keeps your body cleaner than Bill Cosby's conscience. No sugar, dude says. Who's Bill Cosby? Brother throws his arms wide. It's just as well as sitting across the aisle from each other, or the brother would have turned up at the depot with No Sugar's eyeball stuck to his finger. Bill Cosby's a brother caught in a system, my man. Bill Cosby's a rapist. I didn't say it loud. Did I? That definitely wasn't my voice. Or was it? It could be. My different body parts wake up at different times and don't recognise each other for another hour or so. My voice and my ears hearing it might not be connecting. But high-vis dude turned to look at a white woman sitting in front of me. I can only see the back of her head. It's mostly shaved and the hair that's still there is bright pink. There's a curve of silver butterfly backs down her ear. I'm jealous. She hasn't got no shop floor manager reminding her about uniform and 1 stud or hoop per ear rule. And I'm jealous because she opened her mouth when I didn't. Me and Mum used to watch all the little Bills on Nick Jr. Mum got all the books too. She said that she learned how to be a good black parent and I learned how to read. Double value. Then, when she started to hear how rapey Cosby was, the books disappeared. I don't think they're going to find them in any charity shop in Hackney. I saw the pile of ash next to the garden shed and the mum-sized welly boot print across the middle of it. But it's one of the moments when the whole bus hears and it doesn't hear, when something's going to kick off or simmer right down, when it feels like my brain's reached a crochet hook down my neck and hoisted my stomach back up with it, and it's hovering there just waiting. I don't look round, but I know if I do, all the folks are going to be looking out the window or pretending to sleep or nodding to their headphones or deep in their holy books. But they feel it too, like the air in a bus isn't enough for us all. The brother gives her his best pick-up gal smile and nods. Man's controversial, but how you see him depends on which side of the fence you're sitting. He's offered her peace. I want the air to loosen again. I want my stomach to drop back to the proper place. Her head's held up so I know she's looking him straight in the eye. I'm on the he raped side, she says. I'd ring the bell and stand up. 4:50 a.m. Last column, still third row down, heap of puke outside the station gates. Tick. I've got 8 minutes to get to work. If I walk quickly, it's going to take me 3. I'm not going to walk quickly. Why hurry to the joy of Luella checking me up and down to see if I look neat enough to check the use-by dates on the luxury yogurts? Luella's always complaining about gentrification. Her family's been round here for 4 generations before her, but now her pregnant niece can't even rent a flat. Private prices are too high and the council only hand them out to prostitutes, apparently. But Luella, I don't say, this shop wouldn't be here without gentrification, so you wouldn't be a manager, right? You wouldn't be responsible for the Alfonso mango and pineapple limited edition made with real Devon cream and crunchy granola. You'd have no power, nor 20% of bras and first dibs at the discount bread. I still don't say to her. So I leave that there.
I'm coming. You can hear me before you see me, which is usual for me. Oh, Patrice, that was absolutely amazing. I've written down so many lines already. I feel like we're in our I can't wait for it to actually be published into a piece. That bit about using Bill Cosby as a reference and how kind of that intersectionality of gender and race is done so perfectly, and I can see this character like straight away. I already know, like I don't know her, but like her voice is so well crafted. I absolutely love your writing. Thank you so much for sharing. A little round of virtual round of applause for Patrice. How was that writing it? Did you know how was that?
I kind of had sort of in my head for a while, slight of it stolen from my daughter's life, because for a little, virtually everything stolen from my daughter's life, because for a little while she worked at a certain sort of upper market sort of supermarket. In Dalston in East London. It was relatively new, and so she was working at the 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. shift. So she'd get the bus at 4:38 in the morning because it used to stop right at the bottom of our road and get there. So she was like, tell me some of the tales, but also the whole thing around gentrification and how, you know, that you sort of put this, again, it's a food hall as well, full of kind of expensive food. Then you've got the McDonald's opposite, which is sort of later in the piece, which is kind of open until 2:15 a.m. in the morning, and then opens again at 5. So you see the McDonald's opening and the M&S opening at the same time. And just some of the customers, but also just that, you know, there's still quite a lot of poverty and need. So I've kind of wanted this sort of character, but I've still got to kind of work out what the arc is, because I want to eventually maybe make it into a short story and maybe submit it for the BBC Short Story Award. So it's lovely being able to write short stories again, because that's one of my loves.
It's absolutely fascinating just to hear your process, and I think that's what's being, obviously that's why we bring you in to be a resident, but just even just those conversations and just being able to kind of listen to how your kind of brain works on this just naturally is really intriguing for me. And I've absolutely loved it. Just to give you some of the feedback that you've had. So we had an amazing session which I learned loads about writing, practical advice, the publishing industry and the craft. I'm so grateful to Wow and Patrice. Patrice is a wonderful workshop leader, both in terms of content and her generosity of spirit.
Oh, thank you.
This is the first Wow event I've attended. Patrice was excellent, informative, interesting and inspiring. We'll definitely look forward to attending other sessions. Loved the comprehensive recommended reading list and her personal takes on the books, and found the writing prompts super helpful. There's absolutely loads of this. Honestly, I've got reams of it. She really structured the feedback and told me how it would work. So I'd just like to say thank you to you now. I'll do it again at the end. But it's been really, really interesting. And I think because obviously you're an author and you do write for adults, but you're kind of, a lot of your work is for children and young people. That's been a really interesting angle for us as a writing charity, because we do a lot of children, work with children and young people. So it was great to bring you on board. How have you found your residency? How has it been for you?
It's been, it's been tiring. But I think I'm just not used to, I think it would be because I'm just so out of practice of doing anything. I think I've had, up until 2020, my years were incredibly full on actually, and do lots of school events. You'll be all around the country, sometimes sort of different countries, trying to fit in writing. And although it was tiring in a good way, I think, because I really wanted to put everything into it, because obviously I really believe in the principles that you'll found your organisation. That's really important to me. I passionately believe that everybody can write, that everybody's got a voice, and it's just finding the form and way, because I think that quite often gets taken away from us, our voices. So it can be taken away in school when you're expected to write a certain way. It can get taken away in the way you speak, so you think your voice is inadequate. And so I think, writing, creative writing just for pleasure and joy can bring you back yourself. So it just felt, it was a chance for me to reflect on that as well, and just find maybe, people who still, on the journey that I was to try and find my voice, because as I say, my book, Orange Boy, got published when I was 49, so it took me a really long time to find my voice.
Not that long.
Long enough.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think just the range of things that you've touched upon, from your writing workshops to the stuff that you did in the schools, then to kind of your In Conversations and your Enterprise Hub event with me, particularly around that idea of underrepresented writers in the publishing industry. I think that was such a vital conversation, and just often it's in the media, but it's at all different levels, isn't it? So that and I think you're a real champion for that, and we had that conversation about underrepresented, and that's kind of stuck with me, that word of which we use regularly anyway, but kind of how there's a lack of support for lots of different people within the publishing industry. And it's funny that you should say about kind of refinding your voice. In some ways, is we were working with some young people this morning, and been through quite a substantial amount of trauma, and just we're writing reams and reams and reams, and how we're talking about how it helps them make sense of their experiences and their worlds. And I think you've really given space for our participants to do that, and you've been an absolute wonderful writer on the block. I say this, but I'm like, not going, that's it, stay with us. Okay, so less from me. I'm going to hand over to you now, Patrice, because you're going to introduce 3 of our writers who are going to share some of their work. So I'll be back at the end. Good luck, everybody, and I'll see you in a little while. Thanks, Patrice.
Well, thank you so much, Emma. I'm so privileged to be able to introduce 3 fantastic writers as part of this block party. So first up, I am so eager to hear a lovely long piece by Abe. So where are you? Come to us and let's hear your amazing writing.
Hello, Patrice. Thank you for that. My piece today will be a poem. It's called Identity, Global Roots. You're 1 in a million, a special stat, though 1 in 8 billion, more pivotal than that. Each human perspective, all quite unique, but more vantage lies from airborne peaks. With privileged travel, I was blessed to see, through childhood's eye, continents of free. Onto African, European, and Asian marks, my young life journey did oddly embark. Yoruba Nigerian, surface to core, vibrant clothes and spice galore. Zuma rock with crimson sun-kissed clay governs over Abuja each passing day. From northern deserts to southern green, palace of Zaria to great walls of Benin. Sarawiwa's passion roused and stirred Fela Kuti's music and Chimamanda's words. With assiduous spirits and bookish minds, Nigerians are truly one of a kind. The British Isles, my place of birth. Snowy winters, my first glimpse of earth. My northern school ease did inspire with diversity from across past empire. But street lessons differed from class, with many a racist laddie and lass. To combat the ignorance I truly abhorred, Adai Sebo and Bellos brought Black history to these shores. Still, why come to this forsaken land, looked in my mind for hours at hand? Japan, land where I regained the sun. With chopsticks and manga, I did have fun. Kimonos and green tea filled the air. Earthquakes and Godzilla aroused slight fear. I marveled at beautiful narrow eyes. My wide oval equals praise, quite a surprise. Deathly shy yet defiantly daring, mixed with Kuroyanagi and Takako's caring. In this friendly Eastern community, again, I embraced humanity. Here I stand in the fateful present, surveying my international development. With learnings both glowing and dull in tone, I advanced along these world stepping stones. Through many twists and varied turns, body, mind, and soul were both nourished and burned. Still, the collective motto was clear to see. Love binds our global family. And that's my poem.
Oh, thank you so much. You can't see me on a camera like nodding along like, yes, I get that. That was really, it wasn't what I expected you to read actually. And I felt it sort of dealt with some of the tougher subjects you face. And I think you sort of cover so many different identities and different places and the things that get projected onto us, but also some of the wonderful things as well, and some of the warmth and our opportunity to learn so many different things in different places. Hopefully you've got like 90 seconds to tell us a little bit about it and how and why you wrote it.
Sure, by all means. So I grew up across 3 continents, literally, which is quite an odd thing. Usually when I tell people that, they're quite taken aback, particularly those 3 countries, Nigeria and West Africa, the UK here in Western Europe, and then Japan and East Asia to finish secondary school. So it was just a way to take all those vibrant experiences, and there's certainly a lot to pack in there, and make it accessible within all of 5 stanzas, as it were, just to get a kind of generalized idea of the richness that kind of early development can give to a person, without making it too overwhelming. Yes. So in addition to this kind of very condensed version of that life experience, there's also a book series coming out about it that kind of goes deeper into the extent of this multicultural development that I had, not just in the UK, but as I say, across 3 continents.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I really look forward to that book. And I just think myself coming from a very sort of multi-ethnic family and having gone to different places, it completely resonated with me. So thank you. And also the daughter who absolutely loves Japan and is going to go and study there. It resonated with me in so many ways. Thank you so much. Thank you, Abby. Thank you. So next up, we have Lou. So are we able to see you? Thank you. Would you like to read? And then we can have a little chat afterwards.
Super. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to read an excerpt of a novel I'm working on, like a fantasy novel, and it's close to the beginning where Maisie, our lead character, who's 13, and she's run away with her boyfriend, and and I better give you a warning, there's swears in this. There are quite a lot of swears, so if you don't like swearing, just maybe mute it for the next few minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go from one of the flashbacks that she has. Okay, so here we are. It is, I'm sorry. Okay, chapter 5, Imeth. Let's spin backwards, backwards, backwards. Mother is on the beach with her daughter. She's lying on her front on the big Playboy towel. She's only about 20, smooth skin, and it's a roast chicken of a day. The radio fob had said it's going to be a scorcher, so Mother did one of her quick pack lunches with grapes and apple and a pack of wafer-thin micro ham, no carb. You can buy cans of limonata at the beach, the music playing all the warm old tracks from the 80s, flicking ash out of the car window, singing along the road, leaving the tenements for the coast at Imeth. I bet you'll make some new pals at the beach, little doll. It's hard to describe the smell of the sun oil Mother uses. I'm imagining it there. So Mother gets all set up, towel out, and starts to make a ring of stones round the outside of the speck. The little girl got her own little string bag with some half-naked Sandra dolls to poke in the yellow sand. The little blonde chick picking some grey marbled stones too to help Mother make the circle. This is a circle of trust. When Mama closes her eyes for a minute, you have to stay inside the circle. If you break it, bad things will happen to you. Mother shaking a fist and mock grimacing like an old fishwife. The little chick nodding, 4 years old in her little blue suit. The sun's so hot and the mood's so good. Mother wakes up. The blister on her heel, big as a rock pool, is burning. One gummy black eye opens and she is alone in the circle. Fast forward, fast forward. I am tall as fuck. I am scared as fuck. I am almost 14. Chapter 6. Trees are supposed to be green or dead. Stop me if I start going over because I've not timed it properly. It's 5 a.m. Ock Day, the last day of a 3-day weekend, and it's fall in Caledon. The trees have gone mental and bougie with brass tack highlights, nothing natural about it. Mother Earth is a wank hairdresser. Trees are supposed to be green. I've had 6 months worth of saving my hard-earned cash. The angels share, courtesy of Dean and his dive bar. Thanks, Dean. Time to leave. It's hard grafting at mirrors and not getting caught. All the go-go girls are baby sharks themselves. You have to wait till one is emotional or one is high or offer to collect the glasses and roll one a joint. You have to wait to try and get your sticky fingers in the till or half-inch a wallet from a punter and make a string of contactless payments to Dylan's brother's dark bank account. Dylan's brother, Marley, works at a bank. Banks are the only places still using the internet in Caledon and Europe, if you believe the papers. Thank fuck for the dark web. He gives us our money back minus 20%. I think that's adequate modern maths. Dean makes me so mad I have to fucking boot one of his dogs to make me feel better. Ever since I turned 13, my eyes have started to change. My pupils are not the same as other girls. I know. What the fuck? I try to hide it from myself, but Dylan says we have to talk about it. Maisie, get your face out of my chest. You're making my t-shirt wet and it's not good. He tries to wipe the tears away with his non-absorbent fingers. Yes, you're weird as shit. His long fingers cupping my face now, me taller than him. But you're not ugly. You're so beautiful, like a tiger or something. A big, weird, cold tiger. He sticks the lips on until my face is wet and sore with lick. Escape version 1. Okay, I'll stop there because I feel like that might be a natural place to stop.
Thank you so much. I think the one, not the one, that is so rich and so full of many things. And but the one that I really smiled at was just a roast chicken of a day. I think that just does so much work in the sort of textures and colours and heat and smells of a day. That's just fantastic. And I just love hearing you read it and hearing your voice. I see her. I see that girl now. So do you want to tell us a little bit about it, about the context of it?
Yeah, because the context is quite complex, I feel, when you explain it, but maybe not when you read it. So it's set in an alternate reality where instead of England winning at the Battle of Bannock, Scotland won. So Scotland's got kind of like most of the country and England's just squashed at the bottom. And Maisie has been adopted and knows she's changing. She knows she's got some sort of special powers, but she doesn't know what they are. And she goes on a journey with a boyfriend, Dylan, to search for her real story. And it's kind of inspired, like my dad's Scottish, but I don't really know that heritage because I didn't really see him. And the island that our family come from is the Isle of Barra, and they've got like a Selkie myth. So as the story progresses, we find out that Maisie is part fairy. I say it like that, other people like Selkie. She's like part Selkie, part fairy, and we find out what she can and can't do.
And have you sort of finished it? You said it's a novel, or are you still?
No. So I'm about 30,000 words in probably really now. So I just kind of trying to get the motivation to finish it, not to finish it because I'm enjoying writing it, but just to think it's worth finishing. You know, like when you hear the voices in your head going, God, who's going to read this? This is a waste of time. Or you're putting all this time in, no one's going to like it. So I just want to kind of like get the motivation, just keep on going.
It's fantastic. Thank you so much, Lou. And our last reader, if we might introduce you, Gloria, would you like to come to the fore? Hello. Hi. Would you like to read your piece, and we'll have a little chat afterwards?
All right, I'll read it. I'll just go into it and yeah. Heather, 25, was aware that her boss was married and was the father of her only child. She'd been seeing Simon for 2 years when she just started at the company, her very first job. He was a handsome chap and always played discreet. No one seemed to know they were an item. They weren't really. He just turned up to have sex with her at her flat in Bermondsey, especially after midnight. Lovemaking was over even before it started, but he became more confident in the logistics of sex, and practice makes perfect, as they say. He became brilliant at it, and her body yearned for him. She'd never had intercourse with anyone else before, so there was no one to compare with. Yes, he was her first. She was definitely a virgin in every way, shape and form. Her body did the talking, and she just knew he was good. She didn't think about contraception. Besides, he never mentioned it, and she never thought she'd get pregnant. Never. When she missed her period, which usually came around the exact time of the month, she was anxious. She took the pregnancy test 3 times in one go. Come on, behave. Sorry. She couldn't believe it. The final test revealed the same positive answer. She really wanted it to be negative. When she told Simon, she was surprised by his reaction. Nothing was said. "You're trying to destroy me," he said after a long silent pause. He left her immediately at the restaurant, not even touching his favourite dish, chicken and rice. His behaviour indicated that he wanted nothing to do with the pregnancy. He even had the nerve to say the child wasn't his. So Heather had the baby boy, and Simon made it extremely difficult for her at work. He would constantly criticise her tasks, changing deadlines, asking for work that was due in 2 weeks and now wanted it like yesterday. He was neither sympathetic to her morning sickness and sadly wouldn't or couldn't make adjustments for her protruding stomach. He would snap at her in front of staff and belittle her constantly. The stress was tremendous and Heather couldn't keep anything down and would vomit at the sight of any food. She'd be tearful and felt so alone with anxiety and loss of appetite. He even reported her to human resources and subjected her to several warnings. She was sacked abruptly when she was 6 months into her pregnancy. She wasn't up to taking Simon to industrial tribunal. It was too much effort. Besides, she was 9 months pregnant and just about to drop a 10-pounder despite her small frame. Clearly distressing time, and there was no one around to support her. Her parents had disowned her, and she was able to find a small studio flat paid for by housing benefit. The labour went on for 3 days and long nights. It was unbearable. She was under no illusion that it was not going to be painful. The labour intensified, especially when she least expected it. She screamed when the pain kicked in like a large iron boot had been kicked in her stomach. It seemed as though her vagina was about to burst. There was no escaping. She was all alone, and it seemed that the nurses didn't have time for her. She cried out for Simon, hoping he would appear in front of her. Of course, that was an impossibility. He was probably at home with his wife and kids, or another innocent young girl like her. Eventually, on day 3, the doctors and nurses decided amongst themselves to give her a cesarean. She couldn't remember the profanity she used and the violence against the nurses as the pain struck her repeatedly. He was messy and bloody, and the baby was large, and there was no way she could have pushed it out naturally. The nurses had scratches to prove it on their arms and hands, and wherever else she could grab, including tearing at their uniforms. Oh, the distress. Heather later apologised, as she was quite a timid girl. The nurses were such saints and just said it was nothing and laughed at it. So moving forward, Simon was 6 feet tall and immaculately dressed, and always wore expensive suits. He was in good shape, except for his thinning hair. He looked younger than his age. He had a commanding voice and an aura of a pillar of the business community about him. He had worked at the company for nearly 26 years and was married with 2 grown-up children. At 52, he was doing very well with a large team directly under him. Heather had no inclination to have an affair with him or any other married man. As a matter of fact, she always imagined being married and settled down with someone who was single. Her parents instilled in her that she should wait for the wedding night when her husband could have sex then, only then. Otherwise, you won't be respected and no man will want you. Her parents repeatedly said she wished she now had listened and followed their advice, and she wouldn't be in this mess. She was brought up respectably and was never allowed to date. Just like her parents, she was expected to marry and have children. Their marriage was very happy for nearly 40 years. They were like 2 peas in the pod. It occurred to her one day as she was watching RuPaul, an American drag queen on television late in the night, who hosted shows that one of the most successful drag queens in the States. She would work for Simon again, except he wouldn't recognize her. So the journey began. She kitted herself out with false eyelashes, blue contact lenses, blonde wig, false long nails. She even had her lips enhanced to twice the size they usually were and glossed them with a come and get me red lipstick. She watched numerous tutorials on how to apply makeup to a professional standard. She had some money put aside and had her breast enlargements from 32A to 36 double D. She now realized it wasn't easy walking with huge breasts, and she had to get special bras to support herself. She thought once she had completed those halves, she would revert back to her original size. She knew Simon liked big breasts, and she got a special corset that enhanced her behind. When she wore it out for a test drive to the local high street, she turned heads and received several wolf whistles. She looked like the Kim Kardashian body, perfect figure of 8, with her protruding posterior. Heather purchased a lovely Channel dress from the Salvation Army shop for 50 pence and other items from boot sales, including beautiful Russell & Bromley high heel shoes. She perfected her craft. She looked stunning as she ventured out daily with her expensive outfits that literally cost her nothing. She had a good eye for buying and would frequent charity shops and buy on eBay. She'd been out of work too long and worked at getting the job at the employment agency that Simon used, Reed Employment. She gave herself the name Simone Brown 22 and made up a national insurance number. Reed asked for a CV, and Simone was able to provide without hesitation. All lies, of course, but he liked her, were even more impressed with her remarkable shorthand and typing skills. The vacancy came up shortly after she registered on their books. She was assigned to the secretarial hall on the same floor where Simon would be based. She was excited and got herself ready and worked on her hair, makeup, and her overall appearance several hours before arrival. She no longer spoke in that South London accent, which was instead replaced with a polished upper-class Boris Johnson accent. Her high heels gave her extra height, and she looked the picture. She always felt inferior when Simon said her breasts were too small. Now they were 36 double D. He always talked about how she looked like a Kim Kardashian body, especially her ass. What's not to like you for? She laughed out loud, hysterically to herself, as she looked directly in the used mirror in the bathroom. Why did she choose the name Simone? Well, she liked the sound of it, and she imagined Simon using it as a way of striking up a conversation when he saw her, and it was a way of recognizing it in her subconscious. The final thing, if I may, she worked diligently. There was no hint of Heather. Who was this Simone Brown? Oxford-educated, plummy accent, who didn't mix with the other girls, and who kept herself to herself and dressed impeccably and worked tirelessly. Each night she would practice in the mirror and say, "I am Simone Brown," repeatedly. The girls in the office tried to befriend her. She wasn't interested. She had one ejected. Sometimes she would overhear conversations about her former employees. They even spoke about Heather, about how naive she was and having got herself in the club. When her former name was mentioned, she trained her mind to say nothing with difficulty. She learned a lot, though. It appears that Simon had got at least 3 other young girls pregnant. They all followed the same fate as her. He denied paternity and got them dismissed for gross misconduct or forced them to leave. Hearing this, she was even more determined that this man must be taught a lesson. He seemed to have a preference for young girls and would drop them like a hot potato as soon as he felt that he was about to be nailed. It appears that his wife was not aware of what he was up to. He didn't even come to the office and just concentrated on being the brilliant housewife and mother. Simone never met her, but she sounded just like her mother. The only difference being that her father was totally besotted with his wife, and as far as she was aware, was never unfaithful.
Thank you, Laura. You know, it reminded me a little bit of a sort of Faye Weldon books from like the sort of 80s and sort of 90s, sort of The Lives and Loves of a She-Devil. And it's funny, as you were sort of reading it, I went through such a sort of spectrum, anger, but also I laughed, and I'm not sure, because there's these little bits in there, a bit where he sort of, he became more confident in the logistics of sex, and it just like this bit goes here and that bit goes there, and that's the bit that will do it. And she's just about to drop a 10-pounder, just made me laugh out loud. I thought, yeah. And the whole labour scene, I thought, oh, I literally feel your pain. So tell me a little bit about how it came about. Is it a story or a novel? Or
well, it's kind of like based on a sort of a story, but just in terms of life. You watch these men in the office, how they carry on. And in fact, a friend of mine, we were doing a writing competition, and she was writing a sort of story about her life, and I was doing this, and we would be sharing back and forth, and she was actually pushing me and I was pushing her. And in fact, she died 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I intend to finish this story because she loved it and we would talk about it. And it was just based on life. You know, you watch the same kind of things, you know, young girls going into an office and there's the predator goes in there and they have absolutely no idea. And, you know, in retrospect, it's about life. You've realized this is how I should do it, you know. And so I thought I'd incorporate that. And in fact, you know, she's just an ordinary young girl. I was brought up probably like that, where you know, you don't know anything about relationships. Your parents get married and they live together and that's it. And, you know, and here she is, she goes into an office, going to work, and yet this man targets her.
I suppose in a sense it's a little bit sad, because I think these are still, obviously still, you know, we still have those conversations about power and about, you know, men in sort of powerful authoritative positions in offices, and how young women quite often are, sometimes, you know, young men are exploited. So it feels like it just keeps going, doesn't it? But I did love the humour in it, and I did want Simon to come to a really, really bad end, but I hope.
Well, the thing about the chapter, it finishes off with the fact that the Zoom's now introduced. So it's a Zoom story.
Ah, right, okay. I think there's so many possibilities in that.
Yeah, and she has the power in terms of the pause button, you know, cool. And all of that. Oh, so it should be, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. And
Thank you.
I should still rub my stomach thinking of the 10-pounder.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you, Patrice. It's just, I absolutely love hearing back from what work's been created as kind of, and also what work our participants are working on at the moment as well. I mean, I'm really interested in Louisa's idea around the short the little short chapters kind of really engaged me, and hearing Abbe read yesterday in the open house, I think, you know, just seeing people at different levels of their at different stages, sorry, of their process is actually amazing, and you learn so much from it. So let's give a huge round of applause to all of our readers. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. So that kind of brings us towards the end of our end of the block party, really, which is incredibly sad. And I think this would be the opportunity to really thank you, Patrice. You've been with us for 3 weeks. You've got lots of kind of, you've given us lots of hints and tips. There's lots of videos as well, which I did say before. I'm sure somebody will put a link to our YouTube, to our Facebook pages, so you can see some of that as well in the comment section. If you've got any feedback for Patrice, please do let us know. And just to say a huge thank you, well, without a shadow of a doubt, you'll be invited back for the festival and other events. You won't lose us now. We'll be like, oh, let's invite Patrice. Is there anything you'd like to say before for the end of the block party, or anything you'd like to leave us with?
Just to say firstly, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for giving me such a really positive start to the new year. So in a sort of after a year when I think so many of us feel helpless and feel that lots of things are happening to us, actually reminder that there's sort of fantastic communities and lots of people doing fantastic work in communities and fantastic work with words, and also making me squeeze out some words, because I've managed to have so many excuses not to. I'm doing my taxes. Oh, I'm unplugging a washing machine. So thank you very much for that. And just thank you for everybody who's being prepared to share their work with me, both online and with on a one-to-one. So I know it can be quite tough, given something that you've taken so much care with writing to complete stranger and ask for feedback. So it's been a lot of privilege to be able to read those pieces. So thanks again.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Patrice. Do keep in touch with us. And if for any of our audience that have worked with Patrice or have got any feedback they'd like to give her, then please send it through, drop it in the comments, or email it through to us and we'll pass that on to Patrice. But for now, a warm round of applause and a virtual goodbye, I suppose, in some ways, to Patrice. Well, I see you soon, shall we say. Thank you so much, Patrice.
Bye.
What an absolute privilege. I think me and Patrice were having a conversation around kind of sharing work and how vulnerable that can feel, and actually how that's a marker of our courageousness. So I would like to take the opportunity to say thank you to our writers this afternoon / this evening for kind of coming and sharing their work. It was absolutely wonderful. But also thank you to all of our participants that joined in and got involved, whether that's that you've shared work or you've listened or you've given feedback or you've just taken part. That's absolutely fine. Please do keep writing and keep in touch with us. We do have a new writer on the block who will be joining us, Kevin Dyer, and Kevin is a playwright. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to get the exact date of when he will be joining us. A week on Monday, but I just can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Give me 2 seconds. So, yeah, sorry, Kevin will be joining us on the 22nd. Kevin is a playwright. He's got wealth of experience. There's lots that they're up for the one-to-one mentoring, lots of things you can book on for. That's all completely free. You can have a little look at our website at writingonthewall.org.uk and go to the writer's block page. All the information about Kevin is there. His first in conversation will be then on the 22nd. So make sure to tune in for that. The one-to-ones do go pretty quickly. So if you want some of that support, then make sure to sign up. We're really excited to have Kevin, and it's been an absolute privilege to have Patrice. The Writer's Block is brought to you through funding from the National Lottery. It is completely free at the moment. If you would like to donate, please feel free to. There'll be a link that's popped into the comment section that you can follow to do that as well. In the meantime, we've got a week now between our next writer and the writer on the block coming along to join us, and we've got lots of projects, so please do check out. Our festival is coming pretty soon, which is all very exciting. So do keep safe and keep well. I've been Emma. Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend.